name's Christina and I'm a travel specialist for As You Wish Vacations. While I book many vacation destinations, I specialize in the Disney products. This video series focuses on Disney Cruise Line specifically. We've been talking about the online check-in process and what you can do once you check in online. One of those things that you can do is register your kids for the kids clubs. You don't have to register for your kids for the kids clubs at this point. It just makes embarkation day a little bit easier because they already have all the paperwork that they need. One of the questions I get asked the most is, are my kids going to like the kids clubs? I don't know. You know your kids better than anybody, and honestly, they might surprise you. So these kids clubs are so well curated, the staff is so amazing that even for shyer kids that you think might not enjoy it, you will be surprised at how much they love being in the kids clubs. The great thing about the kids clubs, there is no cost. No additional cost to the kids clubs. So if they don't like it, that's totally fine. They don't need to be there and you don't have to worry about wasting money. They can go in for an hour a day, they can go in for a whole day. It's totally flexible. I would recommend filling out all of your registration paperwork so you have it done. You don't have to do it when you get there. And then figuring out if your kids like it and then going from there on how they're going to feel about being in the kids clubs. Most of the time I'll have families come back and complain that they wanted to spend more time together as a family and their kids just loved the kids club so much. So again, they might surprise you, they might love it. I find that kids who are able to go to the Oceaneer Club, that is like the perfect age, they absolutely adore it. The Edge and the Vibe, which are for preteens and teens, are a little bit more hit or miss. So let me talk about those age distinctions for a second here. Like I said, for the most part, the Disney Cruise Line Kids Clubs are free. The exception to that is the nursery. It's a Small World nursery. It's for ages 0 to 3. That is an additional cost and it does fill up. So if you do want to use the nursery, I would definitely recommend making sure that you do that in advance. So while I recommend doing it in advance for all of the kids clubs just so that you don't have to deal with the paperwork, it is essential here because it does fill up. So if you want to put your kids in the nursery for the night so you can have a nice meal or a spa treatment, then you're going to make sure you definitely want to do that in advance. So the Small World Nursery is 0 to 3. The Oceaneer Club and Lab is from 3 to 12. The Edge is from 11 to 14. And the Vibe is from 14 to 17. Okay, so they all have their own little spaces. They're all totally secure. So when you go to check in to the Oceaneer Club, you get a special wristband. The kids have a wristband. They have to wash their hands, except for open houses, which will be clearly marked on your navigator. There's no adults allowed in the clubs. So it is completely and totally secure. You check your kids in. There's no adults allowed in there. So, and you have to pick your kids up, and there's a process so that no one's picking up your kid, you're picking up your kid. If you want someone from a different room to be able to pick up your kid from the kids clubs, you have to have a special form filled out, all sorts of things if you are traveling with multiple family members in multiple rooms, but we can totally talk about that. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Talk to your travel agent about that. They'll definitely help you. But it's a totally secure environment. If there is an open house, so the kids club's broken up into the Oceaneer Club and the Oceaneer Lab, there's a kid-only hallway. So if there's an open house, it'll be in one or the other, and they will completely close off to kids whose parents aren't there. If it is an open house, you are responsible for knowing where your kids are, and no one's checking them in or out. Okay, so that's the security. The Edge and the Vibe are a little bit different because the kids are a little bit older. They can check themselves in and out depending on what your wishes are. So just talk about that with the counselors and your kids. So those are the basics of the kids clubs. Let's talk about the actual kids clubs. So like I said, the nursery is for ages 0 to 3. It's made up of 3 parts. You have the acclimation zone where parents are allowed to be, and it kind of helps kids get acclimated to their environment, acclimated to the counselors, and then as you leave, they're a little bit more comfortable. There's the main play area, which is probably the cutest thing I've ever seen. I thought about doing my nursery like this because it's just so cute. It's a small world. It's adorable. They have all sorts of games and toys and all of that for your toddler. They don't have any scheduled activities here like they do in the other places because they're toddlers. So they kind of just do what they want. So it's completely up to your child what they want to do at that time. They do have movie time. story time, craft time, it's not obligatory for them to do that. And then they have a quiet room for naps and things like that. And they have the Oceaneer Club and Lab. So the Oceaneer Club is kind of, they're these themed rooms where there's a little bit more of and on your own time. There are scheduled activities and things in there, but kids are able to explore on their own, whereas the Oceaneer Lab is where they have lunch or dinner. So one of the great things about the kids clubs on Disney Cruise Line is they do offer lunch and dinner there. If your kids are there during mealtime, they don't have to eat. So it's up to you, it's up to them. They can continue playing. They don't have to sit and eat while everyone else is eating, which is great. The Oceaneer Lab has a little bit more of a hands-on, that's where they do science experiments and cooking demonstrations and those kind of things. So more of the scheduled activities are in there. The Oceaneer Club, let's go, sorry, I'm going back and forth. It's going to be a little confusing. Basically what you need to know is you're gonna want to play in here because these rooms are so amazing, but you can't. So your kids are gonna have a great time. You don't have to really worry about what is what. Just want to give you an idea of what's available and how they have something for everyone to enjoy, even the pickiest of children. So the Oceaneer Club, all of them have, all of the different ships have Andy's room. Andy's room has blocks and drawing on the wall and a slide, and it's aimed for those younger kids, and it's just a great area for them to run around and let off some steam. They also have a, on the Magic and the Wonder, they have a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Disney Junior vibe, which is for younger kids, and that's more of a crafts and games area. So Andy's room is to let off steam, and then you have crafts and games. For older kids, you have the Superhero Academy, which is all Marvel. They have computer games there, superhero visits. They also have on the Dream and Fantasy, my personal favorite, they have the Star Wars command posts and the Millennium Falcon, depending on what ship you're on. And basically you get to drive the Millennium Falcon. It is so cool. You can train Jedi, you can captain the ship, you can battle the dark side. There's all these like interactive computer games which are really cool, and built into the walls, and it's just a really, really cool environment. Most of the ships except the Wonder have Pixie Hollow. Pixie Hollow is where you can play dress up, and they have a computer program in there where you can design a fairy. They have arts and crafts, so this is a little bit more for a girly girl where you can play dress up, and they have a kitchen in there and all sorts of more imaginative play. On the Wonder doesn't have Pixie Hollow. They have Frozen Adventures. It looks like Oaken's Trading Post, and again they have dress up and imaginative play things like kitchens. They have a sing-along, they have games, Olaf shows up. Same things in Pixie Hollow. Of course Tinkerbell's going to come visit Pixie Hollow. They have a Disney Infinity game room on the Dream, so that Disney Infinity that they really wanted to take off and really just didn't. You have a whole room devoted to playing this game. So there's so many themed areas for different kids with different ages, different interests. That doesn't even include the big area where they play games and they have karaoke and all sorts of fun things there. Then they have the Oceaneer Lab, which I talked about briefly. The Oceaneer Lab has a big area as well. They have a 103-inch plasma TV to watch Disney movies on. They have a stage where people, where they have story time or kids can put on their own plays. And then they have Animator Studio where kids can learn how to draw their favorite Disney characters. They have a craft studio, which is hands-on arts and crafts. And then they have either the navigation station or the wheelhouse, depending on the ship that you're on, where you can play a multiplayer Pirates of the Caribbean game, or you can steer the ship. It has all of these interactive items where you can do all of these things. It's just a really, really really, really cool environment, and kids of all ages, they can either participate in the scheduled activities, they can meet characters, they can do their own thing, they can do their own arts and crafts, whatever they want to do. They can meet new friends, play with new friends, they can be on their own. It's just left up so that there is something for everyone, and it is fantastic. I really don't know a 3 to a 12-year-old who did not enjoy being in the kids club on Disney Cruise Line. So that brings us to the teens clubs. This is a little bit more touch and go. Not all teens love the teens clubs. I think it really depends on who else is on the ship for teens. Do they click with someone? Do they not? Do they make a friend? Are they shy? I mean, the counselors are great at getting shy, quieter kids to participate. They don't force them if they don't want to, but there's definitely some kids love them, some kids not so much. They might be hanging out with you the whole time, but I'm sure at that point you have a teen that they're not hanging out with you a whole lot, so maybe that's not a bad thing. But other ships do have more for kids this age to do, go off on their own and do. Those big mega ships with things like water parks and bumper cars and laser tag, they might be better for your kids. But these are great programs as well. You know your kid best. If they're totally fine hanging out with you, then I wouldn't be concerned at all. But if they, I don't know. Again, you guys know your kids the best. I'm happy to help you. Tell me a little bit about your kid and I'll let you know what I think. But let's talk about the actual kids club. So you have the Edge. The Edge is for preteens, 11 to 14. They have technology stations, they have video games, they have movies. But if you don't want your kids doing all of that technology, they also have improv workshops, scavenger hunts, trivia, get the kids involved. The Vibe is the teen hangout. In some cases you might have a sun deck and a coffee bar, but you always have a lounge. They have dance parties, karaoke. They have this really cool thing that most kids really like. It's called Zombified, where you are given a camera and you create your own movie and then you screen it in the movie theater before the end of the cruise. They have the spy tag game that they do. So there's a lot to do in the teen club, or you can just hang out, either or. So those are the kids clubs on Disney Cruise Line. Make sure you check your navigator. There might be something that your kid doesn't want to miss. So what I like to do is look at my navigator the night before, highlight the things in different colors. You can also do it all from the app on your phone, so make sure you download this before you leave and figure out what's important to your kids. So if they're not in the kids clubs, there's also family activities on board that you can do, like family trivia and all of that. We'll talk about entertainment in a few weeks, so make sure you're subscribed so you know what else is going on board besides the kids clubs. And make sure you check out the open house while your kids are there and find out what they've been doing. Ton of fun. You're gonna be jealous of them, and I hope when you guys are ready to book your vacation, you contact me, Christina at aywvacations.com. Make sure you're following me on social media. That's where I post all my deals, discounts, at aywchristina. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. It's all AYW Christina. I thank you for joining me, and I hope all your vacations are exactly as you wish.